Hello, my name is Ashley Renaud, and today I'm going to be presenting my Yours for a Day application. To get started, you can register here, and this will populate fields for name, username, password, email, and phone number. So we'll create one. We'll call him Brent 23. Email and a phone number. And when you click register, this registration is broadcasted to the entire application. But what I also did was I created a PHP file, which you can see here, and I use 000webhost.com to create a database of all my users. That way all the users are kept in a database that's outside the application. So we just added Brent. So if we refresh this page, you'll see that Brent was added to our database. And so we'll get started back to the application. And this doesn't, the username and password, I could actually put anything in here and click login. There's no security added feature here yet, but we'll get started anyway. So I click login. So this is the welcome page, and you'll see it welcomes the username and gives you a little bit of information about keepers and seekers, since that's terminology we use in this application. And there's an image of a raccoon, since they like to keep things for a day. If you go to menu options, the biggest thing that this application does is it gets together keepers who are people that have items for rent. So if you wanted to rent out your car, you'd be a keeper. And it matches them up with seekers who find items that they want for rent. So one of the biggest things that you can do with this application is go to Seeker Find Items. And this will allow the seeker to look in the entire database for items. They put in a max price they want to pay for the item. So let's say this person's cheap. They only want to pay $5 for a chair. And they click Find This Item. You'll see there's no match found for a chair at this price. But if we try again and we're willing to spend a little bit more money on a chair, you click Find This Item, and you'll see that it searched the database and it found 2 items at 2 different prices. So let's say I want to take the top one, it's a little bit less expensive. I click it, and now it's going to add this item to my checkout activity, as you can see here. And we'll rent another item too. Let's say a body board. So you'll see there's 2 body boards here, and we'll pick this one. And now this is also added. So you can continue in this manner and rent as many items as you like. And then when you click checkout, this takes you to a checkout page. This is the page that'll have all the items that you've ever rented in the past. And for now, it just takes the items from the checkout page and moves them here. But eventually, I'd like to take this information, store it in a new table of past rentals, and that way it'll store all your past rentals. I just didn't have the time to get that completed this go around. The other thing that this application is good for is to list new items. So let's say I want to list some jet skis. I'll charge people $40 a day, and I have 2 of them. So I click Add to Rentals, and you'll see the jet skis were added to the database. And just to make sure that they were actually added, we'll do Keeper Current List. So right now this is showing everything that I've ever put in as a keeper. But I'd like this app to eventually just show, what that particular user under their username has ever put into the application. So you'll see that if you scroll down through these, and you'll also notice the IDs auto increment. So instead of having to assign an ID, my application will just automatically pick the next number in the list. And you'll see here, we are now ID 115 with the name of jet skis and a price of $40. I decided not to add the quantity in this list just because it took up too much space, but we could certainly add that. It's stored in the database. So the other things that this application can do is if you go to accounts and this is another thing I want to eventually implement, is that this would show your name and username. We'll probably eventually get rid of passwords since that wouldn't be very secure. So this is your current account information, and then if you want to change your account information, you could do that here and update that information, which would populate over here. But that just wasn't the focus of this, what I want to get done this semester. So we'll go back to home. And you can actually log out for many of these pages. Let's say we were back here. If you click log out, it's going to populate an alert dialog and thank you for visiting, ask you if you're sure you want to log out. You can click return and go back to the application, or you can go ahead and click log out and it will clear the information and send you back to the login page. The last thing I want to do is just go over a couple of the functions that I use in Android Studio that was able to create this. So if you go back and we look at the seeker find activity, find items. This is where we put in an item name and a price and click find item, and it would populate those items down here. The way I was able to do this, so just to give you another refresher, that's what I was talking about, was with a method called find this item. And this actually relies on the Keeper database helper, which has a function called, there's a lot in here. So that's where we created the table. So here's the find Keeper item. So in here is where when the user inputs a name and a price, we're able to populate all the information, the ID, the name, the price, and the quantity with this find Keeper item, which is what we used here. Find Keeper item, using the inputted name from the user, seek name, which you'll see they put in up here, seek name, and then seek price. So from those two, this is where we get the information. And then we had to use an array adapter. That way we could turn this information to the lists that you see here, bodyboard, each of these views uses this array adapter to turn that array into that list. And there's also a message if there is no item found at that price. So somebody wants to rent a cat. No match found for cat at this price, and you'll see there's nothing down here below. So that's just a peek at what my app is capable of. In the future, I'd also like to add a map location. That way seekers and keepers that are in the same vicinity could find each other. You could set things such as a 10-mile radius to find or rent out items. So there's a lot more I still want to do, but I felt like I got through everything that I wanted to in these 6 weeks. And thank you for taking the time to listen to this recording. Have a nice day.